So you finally watched Deadpool.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it,
I
man?
hate that movie. Hate it.
Are you serious?
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this movie.
Really? Wow. Okay.
I just don't like the humor. I don't like the humor. I just think I think it's for children. It's a child's movie with adults and swearing a bunch of dick jokes, and that's it. And I'm like, I mean, it's fine.
I guess those things that annoy you just kind of wash over me. But I think it's pretty funny in parts. I was watching it last night. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, and the fight scenes are really good.
The fight scenes are really good.
Yeah, I didn't remember how good they are. They're some of the better fight scenes in the MCU, I guess, if you consider these two movies in the MCU, which they're not really.
No, these movies don't take place in the MCU universe, but we'll talk more about that. But no, the fight scenes and the choreography are really good. The level of violence is fun, I guess to say. But there's some I can't really describe it, Mike. It's hard to describe. And listen, that might come back to me and my comic book roots.
Yeah.
When Deadpool was even introduced as a character back in the day, I didn't like him back then. I just didn't like him.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure why. I just was not really interested in this character. And Rob Liefeld was just kind of a jerk in the industry.
Was he one of the creators?
Rob Liefeld created Deadpool back in the day. I forget New Mutant something.
Okay.
And he was part of the rejuvenation of X-Men. So with the New Mutants like 99, 90, 98, issue 98, issue 99, 100, with the X-Men issue, the brand new X-Men issue with Jim Lee, the Uncanny X-Men, like a bunch of X Factor, all the X books went through a whole through like renovation. And Deadpool was a big part of that. He was a character people enjoyed. They liked reading him in the comics. He was a mercenary. He had connections to Weapon X, so I had connections to Wolverine. So everybody kind of enjoyed him. But I didn't see the point. And in the comics, he's not a mutant. So and I know in the movie was trying to.
So why is he part of New Mutants in the comics if he's not a mutant? And why is he part of the X-Men?
He was the character Deadpool, if I remember correctly, the character Deadpool was a part of some kind of weird plot that connected Cable. So let me back up. So in the New Mutants, Cable showed up and he took over the New Mutants. So he started leading the New Mutants. Yeah, eventually he took the New Mutants.
The New Mutants is like a new version of the X-Men?
Yeah, it was Cannonball, Boomer, Sunspot, a few other characters. And at a certain point, Cable took those characters and broke off from the X-Men and created X-Force. So a whole new team. So it's supposed to be gritty, kind of gritty, rough, a little violence. It was back in the 90s, so like a lot of like leather and like claws. It was basically trying to create more Wolverines than people about the comic. And it was fun.
Right.
So it was like the gritty level of violence and killing and stuff was kind of what the 90s was all about. And Deadpool was a part of that. I can't remember the exact plot, but it involved Deadpool and another character, Domino. So in the movie, the character
Domino's in the next Deadpool movie.
Yeah. So in the movie, Vanessa, like the character Vanessa in this movie,
right?
She's actually a mutant in the comics, and her name is Copycat, and she has the ability to shapeshift. In the comics, Copycat took Domino's place in the team, so she was actually acting as if she was Domino. And like Deadpool has something to do with that, but I don't remember what the plot was or why. Because when it was revealed, it was not a big deal, but people were like, oh my god, and then we found the real Domino or something like that. I forget why. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of X-Force plots that kind of washed away over time because Rob Liefeld left the X-Force comics and created his own comic book with the Image comics, so a lot of those plots kind of just went away with him.
Okay.
And plus,
yeah, I noticed there were like 2 or 3 references to Rob Liefeld in this movie that I didn't catch on any earlier viewings.
Yeah, and I'll talk more about Rob Liefeld in a little bit. And then like Deadpool is an obvious ripoff. I can say ripoff. He's an obvious ripoff of Spider-Man, but also Deathstroke from DC Comics. So it's like a mixture of if you put Spider-Man and Deathstroke together, you get Deadpool. And plus like he has like a generic healing factor. And like a lot of the cool things about Deadpool were done after Rob Liefeld. And I think we should give Joe Kelly, a guy who wrote Deadpool for a long period of time, more credit than Rob Liefeld. The Deadpool that you like right now is more Joe Kelly's creation than Rob Liefeld, and I think that's something we should address.
Okay.
But it at the end of the day, it is what it is. This movie is not for me. I take my comic book stuff a little more seriously, and this is definitely not doing that. And I respect.
Isn't it taking the character seriously though?
But the character's not a serious character.
The character is not a serious character.
Yeah,
right?
And so like when I watch a comic book movie, I don't think I'll be honest with you. When I want to be entertained, when I want to sit down and watch a TV show or a movie, I want to laugh, but that's not what I'm looking for. Like I don't know. I'm not looking for laughter when I watch these movies. I'm looking for. Okay. I'm not sure. I mean, of course, things need to be funny.
So the ultra slow mo with Deadpool's crotch in some dude's face.
I just don't need to.
Didn't make you laugh.
No, I'm not. I'm not a 12-year-old boy. You know, like
okay.
It's not my thing. But I mean, it makes other people laugh, and it's fine. And like we're gonna have to watch Deadpool 2 and Deadpool 3, and it is what it is. But it's like it's just not. I am. If you want someone to say, "Hey, Deadpool's awesome," it's not me. I'm not here for that.
Wow, I am surprised.
How can you be surprised? I've tried to warn you of
this movie's really good. I just thought it would. I thought it would win you over.
Really good?
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, tell me why. Give me 5 reasons why this movie's really good. And to be fair,
I don't know anything about the comics. I don't know anything about Deadpool.
To be fair,
but
IMDb does give this an 8 out of 10, so everybody agrees with you.
Okay,
so go ahead.
Yeah, it feels to me like Ryan Reynolds was extremely faithful to the character, and it feels to me like he's really passionate about the character and the comics that the character comes from. By watching the movie. I don't have any of those references, but it feels like there was a lot of care and attention to detail paid there.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay. Yeah. And just like the direction, it has good direction. I think that's something that's missing from a lot of the Marvel movies is having good direction because they like going for inexperienced directors that they can boss around. Especially when it comes to special effects. The fight scenes were really good. And I thought it was interesting just the way that they told the story where it was a lot of flashbacks. And I think they did that as a way to make the movie a little bit less expensive to shoot. But I just thought it was a really interesting way to tell the story.
I mean, yeah, no,
and it kept me on my toes and it kept me interested.
Yeah, I want to say the director needs a lot of credit. He's really good, Tim Miller. What else has he done? Yeah. He did Terminator, Dark Fate, which nobody cares about.
Did he do Atomic Blonde or no? Was that somebody else?
Okay, so he was a producer for a lot of this stuff. He's only directed 9 films. He directed Love, Death, and Robots, Terminator, Dark Fate, Rockfish, and that's it. He hasn't done a lot.
Huh.
Terminator, Dark Fate.
I think he was a stunts coordinator. Maybe originally. I'm not entirely sure about that.
No, but you can't get a better person than Ryan Reynolds to do this movie. Like Ryan Reynolds was made for this, and like it's obvious. Yeah. It's obvious that he really wanted to do this character, and I think he advocated to do this character in the Wolverine's origin movies, and then of course the Wolverine origin movie did not do a very good job with Deadpool. So
he was a version of this character in the Wolverine origin movie.
Yeah, and so it was terrible. So I think that him redoing it like this is
they like he played Wade Wilson in that, but they instead of turning Wade Wilson into Deadpool in that movie, they turned Wade Wilson into Weapon 11 or something like
dumb.
that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but like everything from like the costume that he wears to the breaking the fourth wall continuously, like all that stuff. It just work. It works. If you're a Deadpool fan from the comics and you're a Ryan Reynolds fan, which a lot of people are, then you've got the movie that you want 100%. I just hate it. But I mean, I can't argue with the success of it. I can't argue with the success of it.
I do really like the costume. I like the fact that his mask that he has that little, kind of at the top back of it. It's got a little bit of a pointy bit on it.
Yeah, so like imperfect.
Just makes it easier for him to like pull the mask on and off. It's not super form fitting.
It's also funny looking, and also it's
a little funny looking, but you can tell it's practical. I think.
No, it's not. It's not practical. That's for sure.
But I mean, like, really, you wouldn't have a ultra form fitting hood, right? Your hood would have like a little something to it.
I mean, we don't have to talk about his hood too much.
Some wrinkles, something. I just really like that part.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, again, it's fine. I want to talk about some of the comic book elements of it, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Let's see. Let me see if I can remember. So the Ajax character, he is definitely from the comics, but he is not a big deal. So don't.
Okay, that's one of the notes I had is who is Ajax.
Yeah, he's not a big deal at all. And actually, Angel Dust is the same. Like they're two characters they kind of plucked from the backwires of X-Men and just used, so it's not that much.
Angel Dust is what's her face's character?
What's her face? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's her face?
Okay.
What's her name?
Right. I don't know. We don't need to. I don't think we need to look that up. But people know who we're talking about.
What else? The X. I want
the partner of Ajax.
Yeah, I want to talk about the X-Men connections.
Okay.
This is one of the things I really don't like.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Teenage Negasonic Warhead.
She was created for the show. She's not. I think she's in the comics now, but for the movie, she was. I think her first appearance was in the movie.
Sorry, I had her name wrong. It's Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's like a Gen Z child with mutant powers, which is probably like my it's definitely my worst nightmare.
Yeah,
but she's funny, which is fine. But she
was good.
She's not from the comics originally either,
so she was created for the movie.
I'm pretty sure.
And then added to the comics later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna go look that up real quick if I can remember.
And then we've got Colossus, of course. He's definitely an original X-Men character, right?
Hang on. Oh, wait. He was created. No, he's from the comics. Yeah. Huh.
That's what I said. Yeah. He's an original.
But like
he's part of the X-Men comics, right?
Yeah, but like I think he was created. Yeah, he was one of those characters that were created by Grant Morrison that nobody really cares about at all, and it turns out to be she turned out to be.
Well, that's why he got to use him in this movie.
Yeah, and now she's something totally different, which is interesting. It's interesting. Like I remember her from a comic I read. Astonishing X-Men number 13.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah, she looked totally different than what she looks now.
So she was in the comics before the movie, then.
Yeah, but I think she.
Okay.
I think she. I think she might have died. In the comics, there was an attack on Genosha that killed 16 million mutants. So very similar to what it was in X-Men 97. It was almost the exact same attack, actually. But I think she died, but I think they brought her back. I don't know. Yeah, she died, but she hit back. But the character you see,
it's not an official Marvel movie.
No, the character you see,
he's probably like, who are 2 X-Men that I can use in this movie? And they're like, here, Colossus, we don't care about him.
Yeah.
Why don't you use Negasonic Teenage Warhead?
Yeah, and then that the popularity of her from the show has catapulted her more into the comics. So that's usually how it works. Yeah. But I want to talk about his connection to X-Men.
Okay.
The Deadpool movies created a problem for the comics because Deadpool became more popular, and then they had to figure out a way to connect him to the X-Men. There's no real connection besides the fact that Rob Liefeld created him. He's not a mutant. Like he doesn't have any mutant abilities. He got his abilities.
All right, so how did he get his powers?
He from experimentation by Weapon X using Wolverine's DNA. Like, so that's where he got his powers.
Okay.
Like he's not a mutant unless they retrofit him and make what's it called? Retro something. What's it called?
Retcon.
Yeah, unless they retconned him, which they probably did. I don't remember. He has no mutant abilities. So I mean, but he is like. I think the problem is, and this is something interesting. Marvel sold all their X-Men properties to 20th Century Fox, and Deadpool was a part of that bundle because he was always considered an X-Men character. And so when they started making movies about him, they had to incorporate the X-Men stuff that they owned, which was, of course, Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. So
yeah, but this is even worse because it's like it's not part of it's not part of Marvel. It's not part of the X-Men franchise. It's its own thing. So it gets like all the leftovers and the scraps of the X-Men.
And then it does extremely well. So it doesn't really matter that much. But I mean, again,
like in this movie, the only X-Men are Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And then he makes the joke about how, it's such a big mansion, but he only sees the 2 of them whenever he goes. He's like, it's almost as if they couldn't afford it in the budget or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But in the next movie, you do actually, for a brief moment, see a lot of X-Men.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing the next movie because of Cable and because of Domino and a bunch of other characters. So I'm actually more interested in seeing that.
Don't forget the Vanisher.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in seeing that.
Brad Pitt plays him.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I don't know. It's the X-Men stuff in this movie was because of practicality. They had to do what they had to do. But
right.
I mean, I'm just not. And like, I think some of it too is like there's a lot of internet in this. It feels like a lot of internet child stuff kind of baked into his character and baked into like everything about him, like the little hearts and stuff and like all that kind of stuff. And it's just like I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't care about it that often, that much.
Well, just think of that scene where he had a knife stuck in his head, and it's like making him all loopy, and so there's like these really badly drawn cartoon characters on the screen.
That was funny.
Sounds all warbly and everything. I like it.
Yeah, that was funny. I mean, and they're used in a lot of his like abilities as a joke, which is fine.
Right.
But how many times can you do this, Mike? Like how many like. The whole thing where he was like breaking his limbs because he was fighting Colossus, like I just don't like. How many times can we have these jokes? Yeah. Like, how long do I have to be here? Like, that's pretty much like I was just sitting there, be like,
you didn't like that?
No.
Did you like his little baby hand?
I don't like any of it. Like, I just don't.
You didn't like his baby hand?
No, no. It's just. It feels like a movie trying to get me to laugh, and every once in a while it works. But at the end of the day, like. I would have much rather them go a different route with Deadpool. But
maybe you need to get a little tipsy before watching the next movie or something.
Maybe I need to get more than tipsy. Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is the worst movie in the world. It's not. We've actually watched a lot more worse movies than this. It's just like not something I particularly want to deal with on a regular basis. Now, does that mean that it's better than Wolverine Origins? By far, this movie is way better than Wolverine Origins. Yeah. It's probably going to be better than the Wolverine. In fact, I think except for Logan, which you haven't
I've
watched
never
yet.
seen that, but so I can't judge until a couple of weeks from now.
The Wolverine movies are not anywhere near as good as Deadpool movies, but the same principle applies. It's like people like Wolverine, make a movie for him. People like Deadpool, make a movie for him. But in this case, the Deadpool movie leans so heavily into what people in from the comics liked about Deadpool that it kind of isolated out anyone else. And I just thought, at a certain point, this movie's only for Deadpool fans. Only people who like Deadpool will go watch this and enjoy it. But it did really well in the theater. People loved it. I mean, like, he's getting a third movie. They brought him into MCU, so I can't complain too much. Like, nobody cares what I'm saying about this.
What'd you think of his blind roommate?
Al is from the comics, and actually, Al is from the Joe Kelly comics that I read back in the day. And I actually like that character a lot. It's actually, in the comics, it's kind of a tragic thing because he kind of tortures her and makes fun of her and different things like that. And she's more of a kind of a hostage.
He makes fun of her, but he doesn't really torture her.
In the comics, he definitely does.
So that's not good.
But it's like the Joe Kelly comics are actually hilarious, and that's mostly what you're getting when you're watching this movie. So there's kind of like, I don't think he got any shouts and anything in the movie, but the Joe Kelly comics were really well written. They had humor, but also it was kind of dark. And they covered a lot of Deadpool's like history and stuff like that. So they actually did a really good job with him. And so the Joe Kelly stuff I liked a lot. I liked Al quite a bit. But I think that the movie suffers from too many characters like Al. Like he has a best friend. He has a weird cab driver person.
Yeah, Weasel, the bartender.
Yeah, he has Al. He has Vanessa. I mean, how many side characters do we need?
I definitely liked the cab driver better than the bartender.
Yeah, do we need all this? Like, do we need all these people?
Right.
Like if you look at Indiana Jones, how many side characters he have at one time? Like,
usually. Well, the good news is Weasel, the bartender, will not be in the third movie.
He's in the second movie, though, right?
I think so, but probably not as much.
Yeah, which is fine. But I think in that regard, the movie's a bit bloated.
I could see that. What about the recruiter? What you think of him?
It's fine. I don't think he has any comic roots, but he's fine. I didn't have any comic.
He's what TV show is he from? It's the They Were All Aliens.
Well, that's a lot of TV shows.
Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, yeah, that's where he's from.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, way back in the day. That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. I thought I was glad to see him from that. That's cool.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about this movie?
Not really.
You're super looking forward to Deadpool 2.
No, I'm looking forward to Deadpool 2 more than this. I think I'm looking forward to Deadpool 2 more than this because it has a little more comic elements into it, which I'm going to be excited to watch.
Okay.
But I mean, it's still going to suffer. It's not like I don't like Ryan Reynolds. You know what you're getting when you get Ryan Reynolds. Like, do you know when you go to a party and there's that one guy who's super obnoxious and like he has to get that's Ryan Reynolds. Like he has to get all the attention on the screen. And like I'm like he walks into the screen and it's like the vacuum, like he sucks it all up. And I don't think he does it on purpose. I think this is his character is acting ability, but at the same time it's like it's just too much. Like it's just too in your face, too much going on with it, which is what it is. But I mean,
I don't get that, but I can see you getting that.
But there's no one else who could play this character. Ron Reynolds was born to play Deadpool. It's like I think that Hugh Jackman was born to play Wolverine. I mean, like Tom Hiddleston was Tom Holland was born to play Spider-Man. There's some actors who are born to play that character, and like he definitely is. And so, but again. If you want a comic accurate Deadpool, you're not getting it from this comic. I mean, it's from this movie. Not really.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's as comic accurate as you go get, considering the subject matter and who the movie's written for. And it's funny too, like the Deadpool online audience, the fans online that love Deadpool, like they're making that's the money they're getting. And I think in some ways it's not. I'm curious to see if Deadpool 3 is going to do the same thing. Like, are they going?
What do you mean?
Well, okay, so how can I put this? Like, a lot of the inside jokes and a lot of things in the movie were like talked about or discussed from audiences online before the movie came out, and so it's like if you are rewarded for being a fan of Deadpool before the movie came out, right? So fan service is basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm curious how much fan service Deadpool 3 is going to get, and I'm almost certain it won't get nearly as much as Deadpool 1 did, and I think Deadpool 2 won't be as bad either. So we'll see. Okay. But you liked it, so yeah, I'm kind of beating it up. But you liked it, so tell me why.
It's really good, really good. I'll give it an A.
I wouldn't say that. I'd give this movie a B. You know what?
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty good.
I would actually give this movie an A, but it's just not for me. So, like, it's an A movie that's quality, that's fine.
Yeah, it's an A movie. It's all good. It's no real faults with it. Maybe there's a few too many people in the cast, but other than that,
there's a serious fault though. Like, what age group should watch this movie?
Well, that's the thing is I told my kids they really wanted to watch it when it came out on home video. I was like, no.
That was a long time ago, Mike. That was
a long time ago.
Years ago.
And
that's long. That's 10. What was it? 10 years ago?
I don't know how long ago, but it was. They were young at the time, and I was like,
it was 8 years ago.
And yesterday, I was like, "Hey, do y'all want to watch this movie with me?" And they're like, "We've seen it." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're not supposed to have seen this movie. I told you couldn't watch it until you were 18." And they swore up and down that they both seen it. So neither one really wanted to watch it. Well, it turns out my son, he watches like the first half with me because he was in the room when I started it. And we get to the sex scene between
Vanessa,
Wade Wilson and Vanessa. Yeah. And I'm like, so are you sure you've seen this movie before? He's like, no, I haven't seen this movie before. So they've seen the PG or PG-13 version of it.
How's that possible?
But they, in their memory, they've seen the regular Deadpool, but they hadn't. So, yeah, they did do they did an edited version of this where they get the guy from The Princess Bride, the kid from The Princess Bride, in the bed.
Yeah.
So they get him. He's in bed. Deadpool has kind of kidnapped him. They do some scenes from The Princess Bride interspliced with Deadpool.
What?
And that kind of helps pad the run time so it's a normal length movie.
What?
And then they can take out a bunch of the violence and stuff.
When did this come out?
The Deadpool movie. It came out like maybe a year after the movie came out.
How much money did that cost?
I don't know, but it was pretty good. I watched it.
You watched both versions?
I watched both versions. Yeah, I liked it. I liked both of them.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I didn't know that. That's wild.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So there's a version.
They did not do that with Deadpool 2, I think, because, just on the heels of the fandom of the first movie, it was able to gather a big enough audience, even though it was still a R. Whereas the first one, they kind of needed to build an audience, so that's why they did that edit.
You know what's interesting to me is like people don't talk about this enough. The R ratings, the PG-13 ratings, the PG ratings, they used to be a far bigger deal, but they're not that big a deal anymore.
Right.
Like,
well, especially as viewership shifts to home video.
Yeah. I think
nobody pays attention to what the rating is, really.
A 14-year-old could go to a movie theater right now and get a ticket to an R-rated movie and go watch it. And I don't think anybody...
Can they?
I don't think anybody would care. Like, that's no...
I was actually wondering about that because there was like a movie that my kids wanted to see. I was like, can I just drop them off or do I have to go with them?
No, you can buy tickets online. And like, you don't show your ID when you buy your tickets anymore. Like, you give it to the stub. The guy is 4 years old when he looks at your stub and you walk in.
Right.
That is gone. And I think that's really interesting about our society that that used to be such a big deal for us as a society. Like, this is R, you can't watch it. And now it's like, we don't really care. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And like, if you really think about it, R movies aren't the same as the R movies that we had. Like, R movies don't really have a bunch of sex scenes and stuff in it anymore.
Today, it's more about violence and cuss words.
And PG-13 movies can be just as violent as R movies. So like, it's like it's
like the amount of blood and gore.
But it's like right now, I think it's like up to age maybe 10. You have to watch what your kid's watching, but after that, you're like, whatever. Like, I think our society is just like, whatever, just do what you want. Like, we don't care.
Yeah. Once they hit double digits, it's more relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to you to making sure your kids don't watch crazy stuff. Well, I don't see how you do it.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even know how you keep track. Like, don't they have YouTube and stuff in their bedrooms and stuff?
Well, that's what I was like. I was like, how the heck y'all watched Deadpool already? You're not supposed to have watched this already. So I was like, kind of surprised, but yeah, it turns out they I don't think either one of them watched the real movie. I think they watched the edited version of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do have a couple of questions for you. In one of the lab scenes where Wade Wilson is getting his superpowers, there's a woman in the lab with a bunch of horns coming out of her back. Is she a character from the comics?
I saw that. I couldn't think of anything.
Okay. Not a question. But I really loved all of the kind of 80s style synth that was in the movie in the background, like during the fight scenes or whenever they wanted to make Deadpool seem cool. It's kind of like that Beat It style synthesizer, you know? I really love that.
No, the sound and the music, the sound, the whole production of this movie is really good. It felt like a movie where nobody cared what they were going to do with it. Like, here, see what you can do, and they made something actually pretty unique and interesting.
Yeah. And then, did you see the post-credit scene?
No, I turned it off as soon as I could. So, what was the post-credit scene?
There is a post-credit scene. Have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Oh God, no.
What?
So we've talked about this. I haven't seen that movie. So
why not?
I'm not going to see it. I don't want to see it.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Great. It's just
you haven't seen it?
No, I'm not going to. So.
Oh my God.
I'm just not going. I'm just not going to watch it. And I'll be honest with you. Breaking the fourth wall is kind of annoying to me. Like, it's like after a while, it just gets really.
How do you know they do that in Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
I've seen parts of it. I'm like 47 years old. You can't get away from that movie. At some point, you walk into a room and somebody's playing it. And you're like, ugh.
Yeah, but it's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie.
That's fine.
Anyway, Ferris Bueller's Day Off has a post-credit scene where Ferris Bueller comes out of like the bathroom. He's got his hair up in a towel and he's wearing a robe. And he's like, "You're still here? The movie's over. Go home." Well, the post-credit scene for Deadpool is the exact same thing with Deadpool playing the part of Ferris Bueller. He's like, go home. The movie's over. And then they cut to black, and then they come back to Deadpool as Ferris Bueller, and he's like, I don't think they had the budget for like a real post-credit scene or something like that, but he's like, in the next movie, we will have Cable. And he's like, don't know who's going to play Cable yet. He like mentions a few actors, I think, none of whom actually end up playing Cable. But he just says that Cable's going to be in the next movie. So it's pretty cool. I liked it.
Yeah. There is a
call back to Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
There's a
that's a win in my book.
There's a comic series called Deadpool and Cable. So that's kind of, so if you're a fan of Deadpool, you're really excited that they're having a Cable in the next movie because there was a whole Deadpool Cable series.
Right.
So that's why they're.
Well, I mean, that shows you the power of doing well at the box office. You know, in the first movie.
Yeah.
You get Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and the next movie you get Cable.
You get everybody you want in the next movie. Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah. So that's Deadpool. We are going to do. Are we doing Deadpool 2 next? Or are we doing?
We're doing the Wolverine.
Oh God. Okay. We're really.
Then Deadpool 2, and then Logan, and then Deadpool and Wolverine.
I think the only one of those movies I'm excited about watching is Logan.
Have you seen that before?
No.
I haven't either.
So that'd be good.
I hear good things. I heard great really, things. Really good.
I got some news you can't abuse. You ready?
I'm ready.
Did you watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I watched Breaking Bad.
Giancarlo Esposito, you know him?
Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, he played the chicken guy.
Yeah,
he ran the chicken restaurant.
He was also in The Mandalorian, if you remember that.
Right. Yeah, he had the dark saber briefly in The Mandalorian.
So he's in Captain America: Brave New World. No one knows who or what he's playing.
He's in the movie?
He's in the movie. I think it's going to be more of a cameo than anything else. It sounds like it's a setup for him to do something else, but he's definitely...
I'd seen him saying something that they'd had meetings with Marvel and he was going to be a character that was going to have their own TV show.
Yeah, but we don't know who it is. I have no clue.
Yeah.
None.
No guesses?
There's a lot of speculation, but I don't want to do that because I don't particularly think that's interesting. But I like the fact that he's in it, and it feels like Brave New World is getting better and better at what it's trying to do. We don't know what it's trying to do, but I think when Brave New World comes out, it's gonna be good. Just based off him being in it, I feel pretty confident about it now.
Is Giancarlo Esposito black?
I think he's Brazilian.
Okay.
I don't know his ethnicity.
His name's definitely like some kind of Hispanic, but
there's lots of very dark skinned Hispanic people in South America.
That's true. That's true. Especially if there was a lot of mixing going on in South America.
Mixing?
You know.
Well, I mean, the slave trade went to South America first, so there's a lot of African descent down there. There's actually a whole big thing about people of dark skin being discriminated against in South America, just like in the United States. So it's really interesting. Okay, Deadpool 3 has a list of villains. So there's a screenshot of Ant-Man's head, which I guess the villains are hanging out in.
Yeah. Ant-Man when he's giant.
Yeah, and somebody went through the screenshot and found all the X-Men they can name. So Pyro, Azazel, Deathstroke, the Toad, and Callisto are all seen in it, which is really interesting. These are all those
are all characters that were in the previous X-Men.
Yeah, movies. And so it brings up a interesting idea. This feels like it's kind of leaning into the Singer X-Men universe, the Bryan Singer X-Men and all that stuff. We don't know what universe this movie is taking place in. The Deadpool universe is separate.
I have a feeling it's taking place in like at least 2 different universes, maybe 3.
Maybe I don't know, but a lot of those characters that we saw on screen, like Toad's dead. A couple Azazel, we don't know Azazel's dead, so some of those characters are dead in the X-Men.
But we know that this Wolverine is not from the Bryan Singer universe.
No, whatever's going on here,
because he's wearing
it's totally different,
comic appropriate costume.
It feels like the movie's going to pull a lot of their ideas from the old X-Men movies. So it's going to be Deadpool meets the X-Men movies kind of deal, which is good. I think that's really good. It's going to be something central that everybody can understand.
How do you think? Well, the 20th Century Fox logo is in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering how that's.
I have no idea
how they're gonna treat that. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Either it's like not really the 20, like it is the 20th Century Fox logo, but it's not the actual logo on screen. Or it's going to be like that scene that we've seen is like at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
When the logo would appear. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Last but not least, there's a list of the top most popular Disney Plus shows. Loki Season 2, X-Men 97, and Echo, which Echo's kind of surprising. But they're the top.
Yeah, Echo's kind of a surprise. Maybe it's just recency.
Yeah, it's top of 2024. So I mean, we didn't have.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So definitely Loki and X-Men. Yeah, Echo not so much, but Loki and X-Men definitely. Yeah,
well, I mean, the only other thing was Secret Invasion, right?
Yeah, which was not popular at all.
Right, it's horrible.
That's your news you can't abuse.
Up next, the Wolverine.
Yeah. So, Mike, how can people find our podcast, share our podcast with people, learn more about our podcast?
hit the share button right now. Share it with your friends and your group chats. However you're listening to us, find a way to give us a rating or a review. Just do it right now.